Hello everyone, welcome to my channel or welcome back to my channel. My name is Numb Solid and here we discuss books that I've read throughout the week. This week's book is His and Hers by Alice Feeney. Let's get into it. My voice is so crunchy right now. I am not sick. It's past my bedtime and this is my midnight voice. I'm just kidding. It is close to midnight. But I'm tired and I just wanted to go ahead and shoot this. Yeah, let's get into this story though. This story will constantly switch between three different points of view. You have his, meaning Jack Harper's, then you have hers, being Anna Andrews, and then the killers. So, Anna Andrews didn't grow up with much. She was an only child and her mother mostly raised her. Her father skipped out on them whenever she was 15. He was abusive to Anna's mother and, in fact, beat her mother to a bloody pulp before he took off. And since her father left, Anna couldn't continue going to the private school she had been going to. This is sad because that's where all her friends were. She grew up with these people. So her mother, she started cleaning houses to get by, as well as selling majority of their things until she could get back on her feet. Anna changed schools in the middle of her senior year and transferred to an all-girls school. She became a part of this friend group that were considered to be the most popular in the school, with Rachel Hopkins being the leader and her minions Helen Wang and Zoe Harper. Now, Rachel and Anna, they ended up having a thing. Rachel actually was Anna's first. But Anna, she ended up falling out of the friend group after her Sweet 16 birthday party. So we fast forward to Anna's adulthood. And she's a news anchor and has been ever since Kat Jones left for maternity leave 2 to 3 years ago. She is confident and secure in her job until Kat comes back, which results in Anna being bumped down to a reporter fighting to have a small segment on the news. Now she's depressed and basically feels like she's starting over. But a murder in her hometown, Blackdown, creates a story that will keep her busy. We find out that the victim is Anna's estranged friend, Rachel Hopkins. Rachel was stabbed to death, left with a red and white friendship bracelet tied around her tongue. Her fingernails were cut to the quick with the words "two-faced" written on them. Her cell phone, purse, shoes, and car were missing. And the pathologist ended up finding semen inside of her, as well as there was an imprint from a size 10 Timberland boot impression at the scene. The killer states that Rachel wasn't a saint. In fact, she was a liar, a thief, and a blackmailer. She really was a bad person who would do anything to get what she wants. Now, Jack Harper, he's Anna's ex-husband and the lead investigator on the case. He knows the victim because the night before, Jack and Rachel were having sex in these same woods her body was found. We later find out that some of Rachel's belongings are in his car. Her phone, her shoes, and the missing fingernail clippings. Now, nobody else knows, and he's trying to keep it that way until he gets to the bottom of things. As mentioned earlier, Anna is the one to report on the crime scene. But what's weird is that no one told her the location, but she was the first news crew to arrive. Anna actually was in those same woods that Rachel died in. Jack even sees a pay and display ticket in Anna's car with yesterday's date on it. He knows something is up, so he decides to keep an eye on Anna. Now, recently, Rachel contacted Anna and asked for Anna's help, but then later threatened to damage Anna's career if Anna didn't help her. But Anna said no, and now Rachel is dead. The way that the story keeps spinning is as though it could be Anna as the killer or it could be Jack, but we don't know. Anna hasn't visited her mother in years. Their relationship was strained. Anna actually left home right after high school and never came back. And there weren't good memories in that house either. That actually was the last place that Anna's daughter, Charlotte, died. And Charlotte, she died from SIDS, but it still doesn't change, the situation. But anyways, shortly after Charlotte's death, Anna and Jack got divorced. But since Anna was in town and through the persuasion of Jack, she went to visit her mother. When she goes into the house, it is in disarray. There are boxes everywhere, dirty dishes, and food containers thrown about. Her mother's health is getting worse, and Jack, some time ago, had become Anna's mother's power of attorney. Her mother was seen like several times around town looking confused and in her like house coat. But this wasn't like her mother. Her mother was always spotless and clean with her head on straight. But the visit didn't go good at all. Her mom forgot who Anna was. She, in her mind, had Anna always as that 15-year-old girl. And so when she sees this 40-something-year-old woman in front of her, she's like, get out of my house. And that's exactly what Anna did. Anna goes to the town's only hotel to get some shut-eye. She'd have an early morning the next day. Since her daughter's death, Anna has become a functioning alcoholic, always keeping many bottles in her purse. So when she gets to her room, she pretty much empties the mini bar, eats some snacks, and takes a shower. But something is weird. She feels like she's being watched. When she gets out of the shower, the room is back tidy and the mini bar is back fully stocked. There's also a picture she had on the nightstand from like her 16th birthday. And in that picture is 5 girls in it. Anna, Rachel, Zoe, Helen, and a girl named Catherine Kelly. Now this picture, it was messed with. Rachel's face was X'd out on it. But Anna, she's drunk. So she's like, oh, she's trying to rationalize the situation, saying like, maybe it was something that I did and I didn't remember because I'm drunk. She just brushes it off and she passes out. After Jack and Anna's divorce, Jack moved in with his sister Zoe and her infant daughter. Yes, this is the same Zoe from Anna's friend group. Zoe always treated Anna like an afterthought. She didn't have respect for her even after Anna and Jack started dating. Jack doesn't want to go home to his family yet. He decided to stop by Anna's old high school because he saw a light on in the window. And he was like, okay, I'm going to stop, smoke me a cigarette, and then see what's happening. But while he's smoking his cigarette, he decides, you know what? I miss Rachel. Let me call her phone so I can hear her voice. He dials her number and he hears a phone ringing, right? So he follows the sound all the way to the trunk of his car. And that's where he finds Rachel's belongings. He's spooked and he goes straight home. And when Jack gets there, he's pretty much interrogated by Zoe about Rachel's murder. And Zoe, she knew that Jack and Rachel were sleeping with each other. She also had recently been in contact with Rachel. The night Rachel died, she actually called Jack's landline. Rachel had a flat tire and needed help changing it, and Jack wasn't picking up his cell phone. So, Rachel called his house phone. And then she ends the message saying, oh, I see your headlights, my knight in shining armor. And then she hangs up. So Zoe is like, did you do it? And he's like, no, of course I wouldn't kill her. So they go to bed. But he's awoken the next morning with a call from Priya Petal. She's the other detective on the case. And she states that there was another murder. Now this one is located at Anna's old high school. The same place Jack was parked the night before. So he quickly showers and he starts to head out when he sees Anna on the news already reporting on this new murder. How does she know about it? So he rushes to the crime scene. We see that this victim is Helen Wang. You see there's a pattern. Each and every girl on the Sweet 16 photo is being X'd out one by one by one. Helen Wang was the smart one of the group. She actually was the principal of the school at that time. Her throat was slit. A red and white friendship bracelet was tied around her tongue. There was a white powdery substance on her nose, and her chest had staples forming the word liar. There have currently been no weapons found at either of the crime scenes. We know it's a knife. They haven't been able to find it. But the killer said that Helen loved power more than people. She was a bad role model as headmistress for the girls and was addicted to illegal substances, power, and secrets. Now, Jack, he is pissed with Anna. She is compromising their investigation. But Anna, she was notified of the crime from the killer. The killer actually called her from the phone in the headmistress's office, but they used some type of voice distortion device. And instead of Anna contacting the police, she decided to contact her boss to get the story, which is awful. It looks very bad and is very suspicious. But while she's inside getting interrogated, someone actually smashes her car window and steals her overnight bag. So I'm guessing that kind of like throws the suspicion off of her. And Anna also tells Jack about the Sweet 16 picture. She explains who the people are in the picture and how faces are starting to be crossed out. Remember, I told you that Zoe is in there. Zoe is Jack's sister. So Jack calls Zoe to check in on her and tell her to set the alarm and lock all the doors. Which, why are you not doing it already? The police, they end up taking Anna's car in, to, I guess, dust it for fingerprints or something like that. So she has to rely on her cameraman for transportation. And the cameraman's name is Richard, and he is married to Kat Jones. Yes, this is the same Kat Jones who came and took Anna's job. It's not funny. Anna and Richard had an affair. They had an affair just right before his children were born, and then, everything stopped. Jack doesn't trust Richard and thinks that Richard may be a person of interest. Richard had some type of assault, something or another on his record, so that's mainly what he was worried about. Priya, she's the second on the case with Jack, and she decides to have Rachel's phone traced. And when she tells Jack this, he is shocked and scared and just acting weird. But of course you would act weird if you actually have the lady's phone. And it's almost like he was scolding her for doing her job. But Jack is shocked and scared and eventually sneaks to have the motion reversed. He had been carrying Rachel's phone in his pocket. And the investigative team were able to triangulate her phone to the exact location, meaning the school that they're at right now. So while Priya is telling him all this information, he's trying to hurry up and shut the phone off in his pocket. Sir, why was the phone on in the first place? You have to work smarter and not harder. And you have fingernail clippings in your car. You got all of this, the victim's things. You was sleeping with the victim. Sir, after Jack and Priya go to inform Helen's next of kin, Priya suggests for Jack to come back to her place. It's been implied several times that Priya has a crush on Jack. I think she's maybe 20 something and he's in his 40s, which I don't know. But it's implied that she has a crush on him. Jack decides to meet Priya at her place and she cooks him dinner. At some point, Priya says, she needs to go make a quick stop, leaving Jack alone at her house, which is very weird. Don't invite me to your house and then you leave. Take me with you. 'Cause where are you going? I don't need to be here. If I'm here, I'm snooping. Just know it's getting salt. Whatever it is that you hiding, I'm finding it. You better take me with you. While Priya is gone, Jack turns Rachel's phone on. Sir, you didn't learn the first time. He finds a recent email between Rachel and Helen. Rachel has been in contact with everybody, seems like. But she saw a recent email between Rachel and Helen. And Rachel is talking about how much of a loser Jack is and that she is going to break things off with him. While he's still looking at Rachel's phone, Priya comes back. Now, she left, but she never came back with anything. And he didn't even ask her anything. He's like, I know, I can tell when somebody doesn't want to talk about something, which is very weird to me. If you leave and you don't come back with something, what are you doing? But her and Jack have a conversation over beers. Jack tells her that, their relationship is strictly platonic and it will never be more than that. And Priya agrees. She yeah. And then they make a toast. But right after they toast, Jack kisses her. Now, detective, you just said this is strictly platonic. And then you kiss me afterwards? What are you on, sir? Do not play with me. Jack ends up walking home since he's too drunk to drive. And on his way home, the killer is constantly sending messages to Rachel's phone to mess with Jack. And I think it's funny. But also, Jack turned the freaking phone off. It's not hard. On his way home, someone texts Rachel's phone saying, "You should have went straight home tonight, Jack." So Jack runs the rest of the way to find that his house is in total darkness. He can't find his keys, but the front door is already ajar. Sir, that tells you everything right now. Don't rush inside. Don't look and see what is going on. Call the coppers. You are the coppers. Call more coppers. But he didn't. So he rushes inside, and there's no sign of a struggle, but the house is tidy. It's actually tidier than it ever has been. So he looks in the kitchen. He sees that a knife is missing from the block. Now this knife, it's been missing actually since Rachel got killed. And he sees that his keys are already in the house. Which it doesn't make sense because it's just like, Jack, you drove to Priya's house. So then how did your keys end up in your house? He's like, oh, I must have left them here. Pause. Your keys are not attached. All of your keys not attached on one big ring. Like, okay. I mean, if you have them on different things, that's your prerogative. I think that's your prerogative. But still, while he's downstairs in the kitchen, he sees that there is a picture. And it's the picture of the 5 girls: Anna, Rachel, Helen, Zoe, and Catherine. But there are X's on Rachel's, Helen's, and Zoe's faces. So Jack rushes upstairs and starts searching all the rooms. His niece is in her nursery. Actually, his niece is actually drugged. She was drugged so she could stay asleep the whole time. But Zoe, she isn't in her room. So he tries the bathroom because the bathroom door is closed, but the door is locked. So he kicks in the door. Zoe is in the tub with her wrist slit. Her eyes are sewn shut, and a red and white friendship bracelet is tied around her tongue. There's a message above the tub. Spelled out in Zoe's blood is the word Andrews. Andrews as in Anna's last name. Zoe was the eccentric friend. She was into fashion and she didn't care about harming animals to achieve the look. The killer described her as a spoiled, selfish, and evil brat. She wasn't a good mother, apparently, too. But while this is happening at Jack's house, Anna has just finished her news segment. She and Richard, her cameraman, they head back to the town's only hotel to find that their reservations have been canceled. Someone called and canceled their rooms. And Anna's like, okay, here, let me whip out my card and I'll just pay for it and the station can reimburse me and whatnot. But the clerk is like, I'm sorry, sweetie, we're full for the night. So Richard is like, come on, let's go. And he suggests, I know a place where we can go. Let's go to my wife's parents' house. And Anna, she's not comfortable with him. Ever since Jack expressed like his concern, she just doesn't feel that safe with him. But she has no choice because she has no car. And I think she was still prideful, so she didn't want to be like calling Jack to ask him for help. While they were heading to Richard's wife's parents' house, Anna ends up dozing off. And we're taken back to her sweet 16. But first off, let me say this. Ma'am, for you not to be comfortable around someone, you sure went Betty by real quick in the car. If I don't feel safe around you, I'm taping my eyelids open so I can whatever. Anna's mother let her throw a party with all of her friends. So there was Rachel, Zoe, and Helen. But Anna also invited Catherine, just to be nice. The girls are drinking, dancing, and give Catherine a makeover. And she looks hot. Like, she looks different. Catherine normally is described as a dork. She had braces, glasses, and was really skinny. I guess I was a dork growing up because that described me to a T. I picture her as looking like the girl from Recess. I'll probably put it in here somewhere. The girl from Recess, you know which one I'm talking about, with the long head and the pigtails and that's what I picture her as looking at. She probably didn't look like that. But anyways, Catherine, she's kind of reserved Because the last time she was invited to be with Anna and her friends, there was like a time where Anna was like, hey, come eat with us. Like, Catherine was always eating by herself, and Anna was like, come eat with us. Well, she was humiliated. She actually was bullied. And Rachel ended up tricking Catherine into drinking a Coke with Rachel's pee in it. First off, I'm not drinking something that somebody else had. I'm just not. I'm not drinking something that somebody else had. If it's your drink, it's your drink. It's not my drink. I'm not drinking after you. I don't trust people. I don't trust them. But Rachel ended up handing her that cup, and Catherine, she's sipping from it. But if I would have found out that you put pee in a Coke that I had, I'm murdering you. That's so disrespectful. It's like spitting on somebody. You just don't do that. You don't. But anyways, I can't stand Rachel if you hadn't found out by now. Catherine, she still comes to the party. But, all of the girls, they end up dressing in these tight, slutty outfits that probably will make me cold. And they all go into the woods. There are 4 men waiting in the woods for them when they get there. Rachel, Zoe, and Helen, they already know these people. They're already well acquainted with them. So they're just like, these are my friends. They all start passing around drugs and alcohol. And Zoe and Helen, like they start getting loose. So they start, doing things to 2 of the men, while another one of them is literally pulling off Catherine's clothes. Catherine has like passed out. And Rachel, like to, I guess, loosen up, get Anna to loosen up, starts doing things to Anna. And of course, Anna's like receptive to it because, they've been doing things for a while. But that 4th man, he tries to come in and be like, yeah, let me get in with the party. And Anna's like, excuse me, sir. No, she's not going for it. So he gets upset and he's mad because he's like, I paid to have access to a teenage girl. You are disgusting, sir. You are the scum of the earth. But Rachel is like, I'm going to give you a discount. And then she points in the direction of Catherine and is like, you can go over there and get Catherine. So eventually all 4 of the men end up passing Catherine around, taking turns with her. And Anna, she didn't do anything. I don't know what you would do in that situation because these are 4 grown, big, strong, grown men. I'm a teenager. What can I do? So she ends up just running home. And that was a bad incident on her 16th birthday that made it to where she broke away from the friend group. Now, Catherine, she never came back. She never came back to school. Nobody knew what happened to her. There were rumors spread. Of course, the main people spreading the rumors, Rachel, Zoe, and Helen. But there were rumors spread that she had committed suicide. But Catherine, she had a hard life. She actually, I think she was growing up privileged at one point, but then her sister ended up dying. Like her and her parents, they used to go sailing every weekend or something like that. And her sister ended up having some type of complications with an asthma attack, which resulted in her death. And her dad, being so distraught from it, he ended up losing his job, which resulted in them having to move from the house that they had. And, she couldn't afford the luxuries that she had before. So she just looked like she'd been through it. And the girls at the school were treating her like crap. First off, I don't understand why people like to bully. It's so uncalled for. It's so unnecessary. And it just shows how you are as a person. I can't be friends with no bully. I just can't. I don't like you. I hope you know that. And then Rachel started making rumors about Anna, and she started blackmailing Anna. She told her, hey, if you tell anyone about what happened that night, I'm going to show everybody these pictures that I have of you. And Zoe ended up kidnapping Anna's cat. She had a cat named Kit Kat, which is the cutest name. And Zoe cut off that cat's tail and made it into a hat. Anna is so distraught that she had planned on offing herself. She even wrote a suicide note. But she didn't go through with it, and she ended up burning her note in her fireplace. Now we go back to the present. Richard wakes Anna up and they're right outside his wife's parents' house. Now, this place is in the middle of nowhere. There are only trees surrounding it. It's dark and there's no cell service. It's not like they could call anybody anyways because Anna's phone is dead. This is what you always have to keep a charger with you. Always keep a charger with you, not just the wall outlet charger, but keep you a portable charger and keep that portable charger charged. You ain't gonna catch me slipping. Like I said, Anna's phone is dead and Richard, he can't find his. Somebody stole his, I guess. But Richard, he explains, hey, my wife is inside with my kids. It's okay. He's trying to reassure her and let her know everything is fine. Nothing is wrong. There's nothing to be worried about. My wife doesn't know that we slept together, okay? She don't know about that. I wouldn't feel comfortable being in this. I just wouldn't. But this is when Anna learns that Cat Jones, the news anchor who ended up leaving that came back, that Anna had her job for a little bit, that she actually is Richard's wife. And Anna just, to me, she just seems, and I don't know if it's because she's mostly drunk or something that she's just oblivious to things going on around her. But he showed you his kids. They was the same kids that Cat brought into the office. Ma'am, pay attention. So we go back to Jack and he has called for backup at his house and they're analyzing the scene. There's a neighbor that comes to get his niece and Priya, she ends up telling him, basically our director says that you need to step back. You're too close to the latest victim and basically you're off this case. Priya is suspicious of Jack, but she does agree with him in thinking that Anna may be in trouble. Now, Jack, without Priya's knowledge, leaves in Zoe's car to do some investigating on his own. He's been constantly calling Anna, but her phone keeps going to voicemail. So Jack goes to the Only Towns hotel and he asks the clerk, what's going on? And the clerk is like, she's not here and, we're full, so she's not here. And the clerk eventually ends up telling him, oh, Anna she left with some man who had an idea of a place where they could go. So Jack is driving around town looking for Richard's news van, but he didn't find it. Because Jack couldn't find the news van anywhere, his next stop is to go to his ex-mother-in-law's house. So he knocks on the door, but there is no answer. So he uses his key to get inside. Jack navigates through the nasty house and sees that someone has broken in. There is glass on the floor, but the crime rate is so low. So much so that Jack doesn't even have a weapon. I'm not going to be a police officer out here. I don't care if it ain't no crime. I'm going to have me a weapon. But Jack, he goes upstairs and he checks the rooms. Nobody is in Anna's mother's room. Then he tries Anna's childhood room. And while he's in there, he hears someone coming up the stairs. So he positions himself behind the door. When the intruder comes into the room, he smashes the door on their face and they fall to the ground. The intruder is Priya. But how did you know that I was here, Priya? And how did you know how to get here? Jack, he's like, I know whenever I'm being followed, which I wasn't, because there were no cars on the street at all while I was driving here. So how did you know how to get here and that I would come here? But Jack, he starts questioning Priya and she states that she followed him. She didn't tell anyone else that she had left, which is suspicious because you're the lead investigator on a case that already has 3 murders. Ma'am, it's suspicious, Priya. Are you the killer? But she tells him, I trust you. I'm worried about you. And I wanted to make sure that you didn't do anything stupid because, things look suspicious. So I was just going to bring you back. Jack, he doesn't believe anything she's saying because she never told him exactly how she knew where he was going. Like she kept avoiding that conversation and eventually was like, I'm so sorry. I keep messing things up, like basically deflecting. And I guess he just goes with it. And I wouldn't have. I would have just kept interrogating her. We do end up finding out that Anna's mother has cancer and hasn't been taking her meds. Priya saw them on the counter in the kitchen whenever she got into the house. So someone on the team ended up finding an address for Catherine Kelly, and Priya decided that she wanted to take Jack with her to investigate. So Jack thinks Richard Richard, he has something to do with this, right? So he's like, I know his phone number, so let me call him. And when he calls him, he hears a phone ringing. And so he hangs up and he looks around and he sees that Pryor is holding a phone that doesn't belong to her. And Jack is like, Pryor, why do you have Richard's phone? And she's like, I found this outside the kitchen door. Jack is like, okay. He don't believe her. In that moment, Pryor is like, I guess she's putting two and two together and she realizes Richard is married to the fifth girl. Kat Jones is Catherine Kelly, which, I mean, when I was reading the book, I didn't figure that out. Maybe I'm just slow. We cut back to Anna. Richard convinces her to go into this creepy house. While they're walking up to the house, Richard is like, that's weird. It's an extra car here. There's Catherine's car and then there's another car. And he's like, whose car is this? Who drives a sports car? I don't. So they head into the house and he ended up giving her his phone charger so she could charge her phone. But Anna finds a random outlet to charge her phone in while Richard goes upstairs to check on his wife and his kids. So while Richard is upstairs, Anna is looking around and she sees the family photos. And then she eventually sees a familiar face. The familiar face she sees is Catherine Kelly. Before she had all the work done. That's why she couldn't identify that Kat Jones was Catherine Kelly. So after Anna ends up seeing those pictures and seeing the progression of Catherine's life, she's like, I feel weird and I want to leave this house. So she goes, back to look for her phone and it is not where she left it. Then she hears a scream upstairs. It's Richard. Richard is screaming. Phone or not, I'm not staying to see what happens. I'm running. But Anna, she climbs those stairs and she notices that a door is opened at the end of the hall. So she goes to that. And when she enters the room, she sees Richard lying on the floor in a pool of his own blood. And Catherine Jones, Catherine Kelly, Kat Jones, his wife, Richard's wife, is hanging from the ceiling. And it looks like a murder-suicide. Richard, he's still alive, but not for long. Anna's like, let me check on Kat. I know. Let me check on Kat. And while she's checking on Kat, Richard yells to her, get out of here. Run. As soon as he says that, Kat's eyes shoot open and she starts loosening that noose around her neck. Now, this is one thing that Catherine was good at. Remember I told you that her family used to go fishing? Her dad taught her how to make all these knots. And she knew how to make a knot to where it wouldn't keep tightening, it would loosen. I don't know how that's possible. She did it. Anna, she sees that her phone is up there. She grabs her phone and she runs out the front door. But the whole time she's running, Kat is calling her name. And it sounds like something like from a horror movie because her throat was crushed. So she's like, Anna. But Anna is running in the woods with branches scraping and slapping her in the face. She's constantly tripping and one of those trips end up hurting her ankle. Then Anna, she's like, I'm trying to ignore the pain. She continues to run, but she eventually falls again. And she falls onto an old tree stump that just knocks the wind out of her. And it caused her to drop her phone. Girl, you can't hold on to your phone when the wind get knocked out of you. So she scrambles around until she finally finds her phone and immediately she's dialing Jack's number. And, someone picks up. It's Pryor. Pryor picks up his phone because who asked her? Anna is like rambling. She's like, trying to get all the details out and tell him like, I'm scared. I'm in the woods. I need you to come get me. And Pryor is calm and is saying, we're on our way. Can you give us any more information about your whereabouts? But Anna, like I guess the phone, I don't know if she drops the phone or what happens, but there's someone standing right behind Anna. But then we cut back to Jack and Pryor in the car. And Pryor says that Anna hung up. And Jack doesn't trust Pryor and I don't either. Because did you hang up the phone or did Anna hang up the phone? Not only that, but whenever Anna called Jack, when his phone started ringing, Pryor was just like, give me that, and grabbed his phone without permission. Like, you don't pay the bills on his phone. You don't get to. So Jack tells Pryor, call the tech team and have them triangulate the signal from Anna's phone. So she calls and, tells them the information. And like when she hangs up the phone, she looks weird. And he's like, what happened? But she never answers his question. Jack turns to look at her like, Heifer, didn't I just ask you a question? But when he turned to look at her, here come a deer. And it's too late. They crash into a tree. Prior, she tries to call Anna again, but it goes straight to voicemail. And because the car is wrecked, they decide to go on foot. And Priya is like, hey, the Google Maps told us to go this way, so let's go. Like, she knows exactly where to go. And it's like, girl, how do you know exactly where to go if you ain't been here before? What is going on? And while they heading up there, she pulls out a gun. She says, for my protection. Jack, why you ain't got no gun? Jack. Priya even got a gun. So they find the house. Priya uses a bobby pin to get inside the front door, which Jack is like, where you learn that from? Oh, YouTube. No, ma'am. You're a criminal is what I'm thinking. But they end up splitting up. Priya checks the bottom floor and Jack checks the second floor. Before he goes up there, he gets a fireplace poker as a weapon. Yes, Jack. You always need a weapon. But when he goes up there, he finds Richard dead on the floor in the back bedroom. And Priya comes in. And she's pointing her gun at him. And he's like, put the gun down. Like in his head, he's like, I know how this looks. Like I probably did this, but I didn't do this. She pretty much doesn't trust him. She basically tells him someone canceled her request to locate Rachel's phone. And that someone was you, Jack. She also states that his boot print was found at the crime scene. They found the Timberland boots that I was telling you about in the trash at his house. He has links to all the victims, and witnesses said they heard a car that sounded like his outside of the high school the night of Helen's murder. He even has Rachel's phone in his pocket, which, she's just like, should I call Rachel's phone? And he's like, no, you don't have to, because I have it. Yeah, Jack, you look like you the killer. What you killing people? But Jack says, like, somebody is setting me up. Like, this, I wouldn't do this. But Priya, she's not trying to hear that. She's like, Jack, you are under arrest. And Jack ends up slamming her into a wall, knocking her unconscious. And I'm like, girl, you didn't learn from the first time he smacked you into a door not to get close to this man? Because clearly he like to smack. He ain't got no gun, but he said that he know how to do stuff without the gun. We go back to Anna. The person standing behind Anna is actually her mother. Okay. Anna's like, Mom, what are you doing out here? And Anna's mother says, someone broke into the house. So she hid in the shed and then she ran into the woods. Her mother says that a woman with a ponytail and a badge was at the house, and that this woman knows that she killed Anna's father, meaning Anna's mother killed Anna's father. Anna's mother explains that she actually killed Anna's father because he beat her almost to death and he threatened to hurt Anna. And it's something about those mothers when it comes to their kids. But they say, you can beat me all you want to, but when it comes to my kids, you don't touch them. And when you touch them, just like how in September House, the same way, you know, my baby's is off limit. He threatened to hurt Anna, and Anna's mother hit him with a cast iron tree stand until he was dead. That's not funny. Until he was dead. Then she buried him in the vegetable garden. And the woman with the ponytail, she keeps coming around prying for questions, right? This is the reason why Anna's mother never wanted to leave her house and she never wanted to sell it, because she didn't want people to find out the truth. Now, this person who keeps prying for answers is Priya Petrol. But Anna's like, okay, Mom, let's leave. We have to leave out of here before people get to us. But before Anna and her mother can do anything, they hear someone running in their direction. Now, if you hear somebody, I'm black. So if I hear somebody running towards me, I'm running. If I see someone running, I'm running. We're all running. If one person is running, we're all running. And then we're going to learn later why we were running. But if you hear somebody, if somebody's been chasing you in the woods and you hear somebody running towards you, bye, mama. Bye, mama. Come on, mama. Come on. Come with me, mama. Come on. I love you. Come on. Come. But the person that's heading towards them is actually Jack. So we like, yay. Should it be a yay? Because I thought you were the killer. But there's somebody following him. He ends up getting shot in the shoulder and he falls to the ground. He falls to the ground and it prompts Anna and her mother to take off running. But because of Anna's raggedy ankle, she loses her mother and she gets lost. And she doesn't know where to go till she hears the sound of her mother screaming. So Anna runs to her mother and she sees Kat standing over her mother with a bloody knife. Kat says to Anna, "You ruined my life, pretended to be my friend, followed me to London, pretended not to know me when you got there, then tried to steal my husband and my job." And before anything else could happen, like we hear more shooting in the woods. Prior, you just going like it's New Year's Eve. But anyways, there's more shooting in the woods, and Kat, she takes off like a cat. Anna, she notices her mom is stabbed, so she helps her exit the woods, and that's when she finds the car that Jack crashed into a tree. And Anna puts her mother in the passenger seat and gets into the driver's seat. Now, the police are almost there. They can hear the sirens in the distance. And Anna, she gets in the car, she puts it in reverse, and she's about to take off when her mom just starts screaming. But Anna looks up, and Kat is standing right in front of the car. And Anna, being scared, just floors it. She thought that the car was still in reverse, but it wasn't. She smashes Kat into the tree. It's not funny. Then Anna gets out the car to check on Kat, and Kat almost stabs her. So Anna pries the knife from Kat's hand, and then Priya, of course, runs out of the woods and shoots Kat. But I'm so glad that the night is over because it was just way too much going on, and my heart was, I had palpitations. But anyways, Anna ends up waking up in the hospital with Jack by her side. Her mother is fine. She's going to survive those injuries. This is when Anna actually finds out that her mother has cancer and hasn't been taking the drugs that she's supposed to be taking. Jack tells her there was a lot of evidence that pointed to Kat at Catherine's house. She had a childhood journal that talked about how she hated the girls, but she especially loathed Anna because she pretended to be her friend and she let all this stuff happen to her. Now, the police, they weren't able to find the knife, but we do think that it's the same knife that was used in all of the murders. Jack, he ends up leaving the hospital and Anna's like, "Discharge me now." We discover that Anna has that knife in her bag. I know what you're thinking. Anna's the killer, but she is not. She took that knife because she was also too close to the case, and she was at almost every murder. Like, she was in the woods that night, I think, visiting the gravesite of her daughter. The night that Zoe was killed, she was walking in the woods past Jack and Zoe's house. Her having the killer call her and tell her where, the murder, thing ended up happening. So she took the knife to throw suspicion off of her just in case she was being set up. Now I'm going to reveal who the killer is a little bit later. We're almost through. Anna and Jack, they ended up getting back together and they ended up raising his niece, Catherine, that I told you about earlier. They ended up raising her as their own baby. Anna sold her apartment. Jack ends up selling his parents' house, and they ended up getting a house together in a different part of London. Priya ends up taking Jack's position, and he ends up stepping down to have a 9-to-5 desk job so that he would be more present in Anna and Catherine's life. Anna, she ends up taking Kat's job as, the lead news anchor at the news station. Anna doesn't sell her mother's home. In fact, she redecorated the inside to get it presentable, and she put a patio in the backyard where all the garden used to be. But she didn't hire anyone else to do it. She did it herself. I guess she's going to just make it to where this is always in the family. So Anna turned her mother's house into a rental property. Then Anna moved her mother into a nursing home, and she would use the monthly rental profits from the house to pay for her mother's stay. And we also find out that Priya has continued coming to Anna's mother, constantly asking questions. Priya, stop prying. It's like, swiper, stop swiping. Priya, stop prying. Anna's mother is the killer, if you were wondering. That lady. Whenever Jack had basically said to her that it's time for her to move out of the house, she was just like, I'm going to pack up the house and I'm going to clean all the rooms. And she left Anna's room last. She went into Anna's room to try to clean it, and she saw that it was soot on the chimney, and she was like, "Let me clean it." And that's where she ended up finding Anna's suicide note in the chimney. It did not burn up. It just, I guess, floated up there. But that note ended up describing everything that happened to Anna on her 16th birthday. Now, her mother thought that Anna resented her, and that's why she didn't want to come home to visit. But when her mother learned that it was those girls that hurt her baby, oh, she was pissed. It's over for you other BITCHs. And the mama was really mad at Rachel the most because I guess Rachel's parents ended up making it to where Anna could get into the all-girls school because Anna's mother was cleaning their house. The mother trusted Rachel most out of all the girls. After Anna had lost the lead anchor job, she had called her mother and she was crying, and her mother was quiet, not because she was demented and couldn't comprehend what she was saying. She was crying because she was upset that all of this was happening, and how dare Catherine come and take back this job when you haven't been here for 2 to 3 years. This ain't your job no more, ma'am. You're not going to be putting my baby through no pain. So her mama was like, opportunity to get Anna back to the house by saying, I'm gonna kill them all, burn them all, like from Game of Thrones, kill them all. And Anna's mother, she actually had tried to make it to where Jack was the one who was taking blame for it. She was the one who planted all that stuff. Jack had nothing to do with anything. But the reason why she was going so hard after Jack was because he was sleeping with Rachel. And Rachel is the devil. Kat, actually, she was supposed to off herself. But Kat knew how to tie them knots. It didn't go as it was supposed to be planned, where everything was going to be pointed towards her. After Anna's mother was like, oh, Anna and Jack may end up getting back together. So she was like, let me just take the heat off of him and put it all on Catherine. Yeah, Anna's mother had took Catherine's kids. She actually took them, she drugged them, and she put them and hid them in the shed at her house, at the mother's house. And she told Catherine, hey, nothing will happen to your kids if you kill yourself. So that was what was happening. But Richard was a liability. He wasn't even a part of the plan originally. Anna's mama was up underneath the bed, watching everything play out. And she came crawling from underneath the bed and looked at Catherine. And the husband had walked in and saw Anna's mother. So that's why he got stabbed to death, because he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh, if you were wondering how that whose sports car that was parked outside, that was actually Rachel's sports car that Anna's mama had drove to Kat's parents' house. She parked it there so that it would be hidden so that the cops wouldn't find it. But Anna's mother, she was able to accomplish this because she cleaned everybody's houses. She had spare keys to everybody's houses on this big ring, like she was a janitor. People don't be changing their locks like that, even if they don't use their services anymore. So she was just like, I'm just gonna get in. And that's why she was able to get in and get out. Now, remember I had told you that somebody had broken into the mama's house. Nobody broke into the house. It was her. She broke into the house because she forgot her key. Ma'am, you gotta do better planning than this. But yeah, she cleaned everybody's houses. She was familiar with the woods. And because people thought that she had dementia, she did not have dementia. But she used that as an advantage to be able to just so that she could come and go as she wanted. The book ends up ending with Anna's mother working on one last friendship bracelet. And that bracelet was for Detective Pryor, because you come a prying around here, you gonna die. I just came up with that. It was pretty good, wasn't it? But that is the end of the book. I say this for every book, don't I? There are some books that I don't enjoy, but this one was really good. I told you that I had read Rock, Paper, Scissors by her. That one was really good, and it kind of has the same concept where somebody's being wronged and the person who's being wronged is gonna be righted however they can be. So I would recommend this book for you to read it. I think it's crazy that the mama ended up being the one to kill at the end. The day that Anna's father had left, her mother was supposed to come pick her up from the school, and she's never late. She always comes and picks her up from the school, but she never came. So Anna ended up walking all the way home. I think it's a 20-minute walk, but it was raining. And when she got to the house, she was pissed, which I would be too. But she was pissed, and when she got in there, she saw that her mother was literally on the ground, bloodied and bruised, and she had dirt, like mud on her. So it makes sense the reason why she had mud on her, because she buried the father. I don't understand this whole thing of like dudes beating on women, and don't do that. Just don't do it. Why? I think the next book will be this. This is Harlan Coben, I Will Find You. It's probably I think it's another murder mystery. I've only read one of his books, and I think it was called The Stranger, and that book was so good. It says that it has a Netflix series of it, but The Stranger on the Netflix series, I don't think it corresponds with anything that happened in in that book. So I don't know. Yeah. The Stranger is a good book too. If you like murder mysteries, these is your cup of tea. It's my cup of tea. I like it when the books give like a good plot twist. I also love when I'm not able to figure out who the killer is until the last minute. Even though I guess I don't pay attention enough to notice, like they're giving me clues, like how when Zoe was killed and Jack ended up going into the house, he was like, oh, this house is tidy. It's tidier than it ever has been. His mother was a cleaner, and she liked her house. She liked everything being tidy, like, except for her house is not tidy now. But I don't think that it was because she didn't want it tidy. I just think that she like almost like lost the will to live. That's all it was. She wanted her baby, but Anna's mom used to watch her on the news. Like, she stayed watching that girl all the time. I just can't stand bullies. I just can't stand it. I don't understand why bullying needs to be a thing that's on your list. It's just awful. I was bullied a little bit when I was younger. That's the main reason why I just despise them so much. So like anytime I'm watching movies that have people in there like bullying people or just acting crazy, like some of the scenarios we'll be dealing with, I just be like, I probably would have wrung their neck like a chicken, or I probably would have tried to smash their head into the locker. Not me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below. I read my comments even though I don't have any most of the time, but I'll read and I'll respond. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.